the senior side, and then we're going to hear from Bryce Blankenagel, who is going to speak about Joseph Smith's suppliers, who was potentially giving him these substances, and also what was happening during Joseph Smith's life and how was he using these to facilitate visionary experiences. And after Bryce speaks, Cody Noconi is going to speak about what happened after Joseph Smith. Now, did psychedelic use die, or if it continued, in what form did it continue? So our agenda tonight is going to follow that order, and we're going to have some special appearances from Miranda Bowen and her friend Jude, who are going to talk about psychedelic resources and specifically about integration in Salt Lake City. So if you're interested in the subject, not just from a historical perspective, or you're interested, or your curiosity is piqued, as a result of what you hear tonight, we're going to talk about resources in the community and how best to integrate them into your life and use them properly. So now I need to say this. Well, I'm going to say who I am. I'm Brandon Crockett, by the way, and I'm not one of the key researchers, but I'm part of the team that's working on connecting everybody and getting this going. And also, we'll talk about this a little bit more at the end. But you see some cameras here. We set them up in a way that nobody's going to appear on camera, but we want to give you the heads up. This is being recorded. We are live streaming this on the internet right now at a number of places. And we're also going to be posting this on YouTube afterwards, so anybody can reference this for later use. So just a heads up about the cameras. That's the intention. But also there's a second project, and that is that today we started filming a documentary on the same subject. And so we interviewed some of the people that you're going to see speaking today. And we are creating a documentary that we'll talk about more in depth at the end of this program and how potentially you may be able to help with this. So with that, one other thing. So Cody and I recently, who's heard Mormons on Mushrooms, the podcast? Who's familiar with that? Okay. All right. So Cody and I appeared recently on Mormons on Mushrooms talking about this subject. And Mike and Doug, they talked to us after the episode, and they're like, you know, our podcast is called Mormons on Mushrooms, but we've evolved in a way that we rarely talk about mushrooms and we rarely talk about Mormons anymore. We love what you just talked about. Do you want to make your own podcast specifically about the psychedelic history of Mormonism? So we started that, and we've had 2 episodes so far. There are many more to come. But our podcast is called Roughly Stoned. And so, all right, some people get the joke. Good. So, Roughly Stoned under Mormons on Mushrooms. It was a huge pleasure working with Mike and Doug. They've helped us out so much. They wanted to be here at the event tonight. Unfortunately, they couldn't. They both have prior obligations, but they wanted to have their presence felt. So they have a little intro for us. And we hope that the audio comes through. We'll see how this goes. Worst case scenario, I'll just hold my mic up to the speakers. So here we go.
So these Zoom backgrounds are just to help people like really get comfortable.
Hello. Hello.
Dude, when Brennan and Cody asked us to do this at the beginning, well, first I wanted to be there. I had my flight booked out there to come to this conference, and I was really bummed that I couldn't go. And so he had this idea of us doing an intro on Zoom or like on recording, and I was like, does it feel kind of like, you know, accepting an award at the Oscars and you're not there or something?
Hey, everyone. We'd really love to be there right now. Unfortunately, we're on set for the next installment of our big Marvel movie coming up soon here. No, that doesn't sound right.
No, but then it felt like, as I kept thinking about it, I'm like, you know what, but let's just do a quick intro about like our experience with the podcast for the last 3 years and Mormons using psychedelics, because I think there is something that I've learned, you know, with the guests we brought on and our listeners and the community that's kind of formed around the podcast, that Mormons and psychedelics go together really well, I feel like. And maybe, you know, as this conference will show, maybe it's part of our blood, maybe it's part of our heritage, our DNA.
Yeah, I think it's for sure part of our DNA. You know, one of the things when we started doing a podcast called Mormons on Mushrooms, we didn't really know what we were getting ourselves into. We certainly aren't experts on any of those subjects, but it's been so much fun as we've kind of sort of wandered into this world with our kind of wide-eyed wonder and kind of holding hands, skipping through an enchanted forest that is psychedelics. We really have found out that we come from a long line of like natural storytellers and adventurers and folks who want to explore and go into uncharted territories. And that's kind of, I think, really in line with the next, like a step of exploring the mind or exploring the nature of reality, exploring ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, we even talked about on a recent episode how I saw through some like synchronistic, like looking at my genealogy and found some guy who went to Sweden and converted 300 members and then carried them all the way from Sweden to, or led them all the way from Sweden to Utah. Like, think of it, like, they have to be dreamers, they have to be pioneers to do that. And who knows, maybe he was using Joseph Smith's like cocktail of wine and other things to help convert those 300, who knows? But then
that would be cool if he was, right? If you had this like, this great grandpa who was out getting people like totally trashed on like wine and mushrooms and just being like, follow me across the sea.
Yeah.
We're going to join our people there and like gather. People have been like, hell yeah, we are, dude. This sounds like awesome time, right?
So, I mean, I think I'm just carrying on his legacy. Plus, he left the church. He got in a fight with Brigham Young and set up a tent on the side of the hill and became like the bench prophet. I don't know. It's a cool story, but
yeah,
I feel like
a cool story.
I'm carrying on his legacy and, you know, in this psychedelic renaissance, whatever we want to call it. But not just with psychedelics. So there's one other point I want to make, because in talking to like this Jungian therapist I was working with, she was really complimentary about how Mormons and inner exploration, working with their dreams, working with their unconscious. It's like we have like this knack or this desire to really go into our shadow and dig up our shit and, I don't know, live better.
Yeah, it's really true. And it's fun. Like you said, Mike, I wish that we were there. We both had some personal stuff come up for this weekend, but I've really enjoyed, you know, like I said, you and I have been sort of like approaching this as just like, hey, we don't know anything. Everybody come tell us and teach us and give us your experiences and tell us all the cool shit. Well, when you come to one of these things, it's like, oh, now we're listening to people who have done their research and looked at data and have interviewed people and have found common experiences, and they're here to share their information. You know, it's a really cool, I don't know, that it's there's got to be something in between, and I think that's what these types of symposiums are. You know, you can't be dry, boring academia all the time, and it can't be you know, sunshine, lollipops, and tripping down the, you know, whatever rainbow. It's got to be somewhere in between. I think that's what these types of things are, right? It's like, okay, have the time of your life, but also you're going to walk away learning all sorts of cool shit that you can, that the next time you're tripping, you can like drive everybody crazy by talking incessantly about all the information you got from this very symposium.
Well, and I'm still like, I think scraping my jaw off the floor from when Brandon and Cody came on the podcast.
Hey, dude. Yeah.
Give us just a little nugget of, you know, all the stuff they've been exploring. So, but plus, I don't know, I would just like to like skip down a rainbow with all of you. Is that too much to ask?
I'll be there.
So yeah, enjoy. Wish we could be there with you all. But I think there'll be more of these. We'll be at the next one.
Yeah, we'll do it. Let's do it. Have fun, y'all. Enjoy yourselves. Love you. Wish we could be there. Thank you, Brandon, Cody. Thank you, everybody who put this together. You're all very beautiful.
Yeah, I can see you right now. We can't, but I can feel you.
Yeah, especially that guy right down there. Look how good looking he is.
I was looking at that guy too.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Love you guys.
All right, so with that, we will. Okay, so with that, we're going to start our program with Alex Criddle is going to be speaking to us. And Alex, could you do a little intro of yourself at the beginning too? And yes, or you want me to do it? He'll do a little intro of himself at the beginning, his qualifications. But he's going to be speaking to us about the psychedelic ancestry of Joseph Smith. So with that, Alex, take us away. One more thing, we have water. If you need anything, you can go up here and get water at any time during the program, and we have some free. All right, thank you.
guess my qualifications are, I have a master's degree in philosophy, I do Mormon history research, I've written curriculum for psychedelic therapists, do lots of psychedelic research. That's good enough, right? Right, okay, I'm a credible academic, so believe me, whatever I say. So we're going to be talking today about Joseph Smith's psychedelic ancestry, his parents, and the ideas that came before him that funneled into him utilizing psychedelic substances. So I've got a couple goals here. I'm going to talk about the psychedelic knowledge from the Smith family's known connections to occultism, masonry, and Native American lore. And then I'm going to place Joseph Smith's first psychedelic vision in the context of his parents' visionary quests in their life, as well as framing the psychedelic experiences of Joseph Sr. and Lucy Mack within their larger life stories, because that's all life is, it's a story. So we'll start with Joseph Smith's occult and alchemical heritage. So Joseph, he was a treasure seeker and a scryer, and he was familiar with the Enochian tradition that stemmed from the famed John Dee and Edward Kelly. And John Dee and Edward Kelly most likely utilized DMT in their scrying work. And here there's a quote from Dee writing to Kelly talking about how he forgot all of his drugs and he's gonna have to borrow some of Kelly's. Now, Cornelius Agrippa, he was a magician in the 1500s who wrote the 3 books of occult philosophy named henbane and mandrake, which are both anticholinergics like datura or psychedelic substances, as 3 herbs under the power of Jupiter. Now we know that Joseph was familiar with the power of Jupiter because he had a Jupiter talisman that was on his person when he died, and he kept it on his person at all times. Now, according to Francis Barrett, who is the author of the Magus, which was an occult book that the Smith family utilized in a lot of their magical practices, that henbane and black poppy are among the herbs that were used to invoke the images of spirits through the proper suffumigation, which